Hello everyone, I am Jonathan Little, and today we are going to talk about the recent, let's call it, scandal, where three-handed in a World Series of Poker circuit event, two players got all in, they ran out the board, one player made a 4-card flush, the other player rivered a straight. The dealer quickly grabbed the 4-card flush and put it in the muck, and awarded the pot to the player who had the straight. This has caused quite a controversy on Twitter. A lot of people are wondering what happened. So we're going to go through roughly what happened in this scenario, ignoring the players. I don't want to be talking negatively about any players where I don't have 100% facts, although, some players are going to try to angle harder than others. And I'll give you my thoughts on this scenario. First things first, they got it all in, they ran it out. The guy with the 4-card flush thought he won.
Oh, I thought I won, my bad.
He acted like he won. He's like, all right, great. Then the dealer quickly grabbed his cards, put him in the muck. If that ever happens, if you ever have any doubt whatsoever about what's happening, either because the dealer is going too quickly or you actually thought you won, say, whoa, 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 stop. Do not presume the dealer is right. Dealers are humans. At the end of tournaments, they've often been dealing for a very long period of time. People make mistakes, and it's important to realize people make mistakes. It's okay to make mistakes, usually not late in the tournament, but it's going to happen. At the end of the day, it is your job as the player to protect your hand. Do not let the dealer take the hand that you think is a winning hand. And if they do grab it and muck it like this dealer did, say, whoa, 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 your cards are still very clearly retrievable on the top of the deck. You know you had, in this scenario, a queen 10. It'll be on the top of the deck. Or even if they shove it in the middle of the deck, say, whoa, I had the queen of clubs, 10 of whatever. You need to know what cards you had, clearly. They'll be able to be retrievable. Now, in this hand, the opponent did, we can call it an angle, a live pro angle. They're like, yes, I river the straight.
All right, we got outs. Out it. Out it. Out it. Get the straight.
Maybe that's what induced the dealer to say, oh, straight's the nuts, clearly, and took the other guy's cards. Obviously, if that is an angle, if that is actually what happened, that is horribly out of line. And I'm not going to say borderline cheating, but it's something that definitely should be, the dealer should be aware of. There's some players out there who consistently try to make little live pro angles that may result in the pot getting pushed their way one way or the other. As a more, call it safe example, say on the river you bluff with the nut low straight flush draw that missed. Say you have 5-4 of hearts and the flop is whatever 7-6 of hearts. The river runs out with 2 diamonds. So it looks like there's a bunch of red cards on the board. Maybe there's even a diamond on the flop. In that scenario, you bet the river, your opponent calls, you table your hand. If you table your hand and your opponent mucks their hand because they can't read the board, that's clearly on them. If they turn their cards up, obviously they get the pot. The question becomes, is it okay to say something like, I got it, when you turn over your nut low? I don't know. I don't have the answer to that. That said, it's important to realize that some people do that on a regular basis, and they induce their opponents to make a fold. I've had a spot one time where on the river, I bet, nut low, got called, tabled my hand, my opponent mucked. I didn't say anything. I'm not trying to angle shoot people over here. That's not how I win at poker. But is it okay to say, hey, I got it? Because look, in reality, you had it on the flop, right? You had the straight flush draw. I'm not sure. I've seen people show the nut low in both tournaments and cash games multiple times, usually in scenarios just like this, and their opponents mucked. I don't think I've ever actually seen it where someone has said anything overly egregious, like I got it, or even worse, I got the flush. I guess in theory you can announce I got the flush, but that's something you need to be aware of. Do not trust your opponents and the dealer and the floor person and the other players at the table to be paying attention. It is on you. You have to protect yourself before you wreck yourself. That said, I do think the live pro trick of saying straight on the river and then worst case just act dumb and say you didn't see it is pretty scummy. I don't know if that's what's happening here, but if it was, it's pretty scummy. Next question, where is the floor person? Apparently there was no floor person at the table. It was unclear from the video. I think there should be a floor person at every, call it, major final table. I'm not sure of the buy-in of this tournament, although I know it wasn't that big, but they're playing for a circuit ring or whatever. So there should probably be a floor person there. I realize sometimes the floor person has to go deal with other stuff in the poker tournament. Maybe they're only there a third of the time. Maybe they thought the dealer was a great dealer and they didn't need to worry about it so much. I'm not sure. But in my opinion, especially when they're raking you a ton, there should probably be a floor person there. By the way, if you are playing tournaments that have like 15% rake, I'm not sure of the rake on these specific tournaments. If you're paying 15% rake, it's going to be hard to win all that much money. Just because a game exists does not mean you have to play. I know a lot of people want to win circuit rings and win bracelets and win all sorts of trinkets. And I can tell you, it's not worth the cost of paying a bunch of rake and spending a lot of time. I get the idea that you want to play poker, you want to have fun, you want to gamble, and that might be the only game in town. But make sure the rake is beatable, assuming you're trying to win at poker. I realize a lot of people are not trying to win at poker. Next question in this whole controversy. Should the media person who was there reporting on the tournament chime in and say, wait a minute, take a look at that guy's hand? The answer in my mind is clearly yes. You may say, shouldn't only the players at the table be involved? I would ask you, why? For example, say you're watching a basketball game and a team shoots what in your mind is clearly a three-pointer and it goes in, but they only give them 2 points. What if they shoot a three-pointer and no points are awarded? They just forget to put it in. Should anything be said? Obviously, yes. And hopefully, someone right around the scorekeeper will say, hey, put the three-pointer on the board, right? Some people are saying this is more equivalent to someone getting fouled on the basketball court that's not called, and then a media person saying, hey, they got fouled. I mean, if it's like obvious and egregious, I mean, maybe it should probably be called. If someone gets like punched in the head in a basketball game and the referee doesn't see it, well, it should still probably count against the player who punched the guy in the head, right? Now, there is also the question of favoritism. Imagine there's a media person at the final table watching, reporting, and they really, really, really love Jonathan Little, and they really, really, really hate the other guy for whatever reason. Are they going to say that Jonathan Little won the hand in this scenario? And alternatively, if it was reversed, will they not say the other guy won the hand because they don't want that guy to win? Maybe they will, maybe they're not. They won't. That is something you have to be concerned with. Again, not thinking about Jonathan Little, thinking about in general, you don't want people on the rail to favor one person over the other. The other question becomes, does this start to slow down the game substantially because they want to triple check everything? I don't think it's going to become that big of a deal because very rarely does someone get it all in, think they won, have their hand mucked, and then have to retrieve the cards and then confirm it, etc., etc. Right? Very rarely does that happen. Maybe there's some angle for the other guy here if you think about it. Say it does run out exactly as it did in this video. What if the guy says, once the cards are in the middle of the muck, a big muck pile, actually, it was only three-handed, so the muck pile will be small. But imagine there was a big muck pile because you're playing 10-handed. I had the queen of clubs and a 10. And then they look through the pile, and there's no queen of clubs, but it's instead the queen of spades. But it could have been the queen of clubs, right? If there's 15 or 20 cards in the muck, well, you're kind of 50-50 to have it, whether or not you actually had it. And that also creates more weird angling opportunities. So we have to be careful that this is not like a widespread thing. And it's a delicate spot. It's a tricky spot. The question becomes, what is okay and how far do things get taken? A lot of people naturally take spots like this to the super duper extreme. They think, well, now everyone's going to be watching on the rail and saying all the time that things happen and people are going to angle one way or the other. And I don't think that's going to happen. You're going to find that most of the time extreme things don't happen. I do, however, think the Tournament Director Association or someone like that, some governing body, should keep track of infractions players make. I've discussed this with a few tournament directors, and they don't like the idea because it's going to cause a lot of record keeping. But I think if someone is known to angle shoot people, especially in overly egregious ways, that should go in a database. And then when that player does attempt the angle again in the future, don't let them. Simple as that. Like imagine someone always takes their cards, mucks them in the muck pile themselves, and then says, oh my God, I think I had the queen of clubs. Imagine that happen. Imagine the player had queen 10. They get it all in. They run out 4 clubs. They give the pot to the other guy. The player, instead of the dealer, the player grabs their cards and mucks them hard. Then a second later says, oh my God, I had the queen of clubs. Let's pull them out. I mean, like if they do it once, I guess. But if they do that 25 times in a year or 25 times in a month, they're cheaters and should be punished, right? And if players do get penalties for breaking the rules of the game, I think that should be tracked and it should carry from one casino to the other. I realize there are privacy issue concerns and all of that, but I think that needs to be something that happens. I mean, in most games. You can't just egregiously make the same cheat or angle or scam or whatever over and over and over again. You don't get to do it. It's not allowed. And eventually your penalties are going to get worse and worse and worse. But that does not happen in poker, and that is a problem, in my opinion, that needs to be resolved. Okay, next. Can people on the rail chime in? Because the dealer, the players, the floor person clearly need to chime in. I think the media people should chime in. Should people on the rail chime in if there's clearly an egregious mistake? The answer is, in my mind, obviously, yes. Again, how far does it extend? It's tough to say. Will this become widespread where people are slowing down the game on the rail, always questioning stuff? If that happens, kick them out, right? I don't think you have to take this to the extreme. I don't think you have to think, what if everyone's doing this? That's not actually what's going to happen in the real world. Now, if you do witness a mistake today, you need to very quickly tell the dealer or the floor person. Now, again, is this okay? Is this okay? A lot of people are going to say no. They think you're not involved, you're not at the table. You're out of luck. The player should be able to read their own hand, even if it is face up, and the dealer screws up, and the other player does not say anything about it as well. And I think the winning hand should get the pot if it is tabled. Personally, I, Jonathan Little, think the winning hand should get the pot, even if the player who has the winning hand either doesn't realize it, they're oblivious, they're tired, they can't read the board, they don't know how to play, whatever. I think the winning hand should get the pot. Is there anything that can be done about this now? That this player had, well, a bunch of chips taken from them. Some people are saying they should figure out the ICM value of their chips and give them that amount of difference. I don't think that's a thing. I don't think that happens. If mistakes get through, they do get through in pretty much every game. And it is what it is. This is only a thing because it was caught on tape. If this was not caught on tape, then nothing would be done. Next question becomes, how often does this actually happen? Well, I don't think all that often in No Limit Hold'em. But I do think it happens a lot in mixed games, especially when the dealers are not all that familiar with the mixed games. The first time I played an Omaha 8 or better tournament at the World Series of Poker, I had a bad low. I forget what it was. This was 15 or 20 years ago, whatever it was. I had a bad low, and I thought I was supposed to get half the pot. This was my first Omaha 8 or better tournament. I didn't actually know. I thought I knew, but I wasn't an expert at the game, right? So we play the hand. I was supposed to get half the pot. Maybe I had like a 7 and a 5 low or some nonsense, right? My opponent didn't. I table my hand. The opponent tables their hand. Dealer looks at my hand, takes it, throws into the muck, starts pushing the other guy the other pot. I say, whoa, 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 whoa. The dealer's like, no, let's go. As if the dealer knew what he was talking about. The dealer presumed they knew what they were talking about. And maybe they do most of the time. Dealers, though, should not presume they definitively know what they are doing. Players should also not definitively presume they know what they're doing. Everyone has to work together to presume or to figure out where the pot goes, right? So this dealer grabbed my hand, put it on top of the muck, starts pushing the pot. I say, whoa, 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 whoa. And then they just want to keep pushing the guy the pot. They didn't want to deal with me. They didn't want to hear it from me. Luckily for me, Barry Greenstein, a very well-respected pro, has a book called Ace on the River. It's a great book. Check it out. He was at my table and said, whoa, he had the low. Barry Greenstein's an excellent mixed game player. And then the dealer's like, oh, Barry Greenstein, legend of poker. Maybe I should take a look. Sure enough, they pull my cards out of the pot, or out of the muck, turn over my hand, I get half the pot now. That's my one mixed game story. I don't play a ton of mixed games. I have to guess this happens in mixed games way more than people think it does, especially when the dealers are not familiar with the game or in the middle or end of a long tournament series or a long tournament or after they've been dealing 14 hours that day. I bet this happens a decent chunk of the time. And especially in the small or medium stakes where a lot of the players barely know how to play, I bet it happens a lot. Now, if you are on the beneficial side of this situation where you know you lost the pot, but the dealer gives you the pot, and the opponent's hand was tabled, the only right and ethical and good thing to do is to say, whoa, this is not my pot. I've actually done this before in a cash home game, a home game where we were playing a cash game where the dealer wasn't that good. I've done this before. It was a chop pot where I was supposed to get half the pot, but the dealer pushed me the whole pot, a spot where my kicker was better than theirs, but the kicker didn't play. I bet this happens a lot in mixed games, and it probably happens a lot in small stakes games or places where the dealers are not really, really good. And you need to give the pot to the person it belongs to. That is definitely the right thing to do. I think anything else is pretty scummy. And look, I realize that some people have to resort to being scummy to try to win at poker. And that sucks for them. I would definitely recommend they spend their time getting better at poker and improving their skills. But you need to be a good human. And also, if people do not get the pot that they should get, and they realize it after the fact, they're going to, for forever, presume you're probably a scumbag for not playing within the rules, right? It's tough, though, because at the same time, you can always just play dumb. You can say, I didn't see it. Like right here. I rivered the straight. Hey, you did river the straight. True story. I didn't see the flush. Maybe you did, maybe you didn't. But, look, it's important to do the right thing in life. It's important to not screw people over. It's important to not cheat people. It's important to not steal from people. And need to be a good person. That's it for today. Hope you enjoyed this video. Good luck in your games. Have fun. And if there's one thing to take away from this, it is that you need to protect yourself before you wreck yourself. Don't count on others to protect you and take care of you. You're the last line of defense. If you like the video, click like and subscribe below. Talk to you next time.